What's up, y'all? It's your boy Tevin Jameer back at it again with another episode of the Hate It or Love It podcast. And as you guys can see in the title, today I will be ranking all the movies that I've seen in 2023. Now, if you guys have been keeping up with the podcast consistently, you know that I am a big film person, so much so that I want to be in the film industry. But this year, I've been keeping up with every single film that I've seen in theaters or that I streamed. Just basically any movie that released in 2023. I've been keeping up with my letterbox and I've been ranking every single movie. If you guys want to check out my letterbox, I'm going to put it on the screen right now just so that you guys can go follow me and, keep up with next year. But for anybody that's been waiting for my ranking, it's finally here. I said I was going to put out the episode Friday, but as of right now, I'm recording this on Thursday, December 14th. I was thinking about dropping this December 15th, but I guess it really all depends on, when I get done the episode. And I'm talking about 50 films here. That's the benchmark I tried to give myself with these rankings. Like, I at least wants to do 50 films a year. So next year, expect another 50 films of me ranking. But that's what I was trying to do with this year. I was like, let me at least watch 50 movies so that I can rank all of them and have this for like the end of the year so that, even if you don't follow me on Letterboxd, even if you don't ever go on there, you guys can still hear my opinions on these films and get my overall thoughts of how I felt about films in this year of 2023. And I guess to give a quick, overall thought of how I felt about 2023 as for filmmaking, besides everything with the writer's strike, overall I thought this was a pretty good year for films. One of the things that I praised a lot, if you guys have been keeping up, is the big return of comedies coming back to theaters, because that was like something big for me. Like, I'm a big comedy fan. Comedy is my favorite genre. So think of how bad these past few years has been for me, watching comedy movies basically be seen as jokes or just seen as not as much of an art form as a drama or a horror movie could be. Like, comedy really does get disrespected, but somehow this year brought back a lot of comedies. And whether I liked them or not, because there was definitely some comedies in theaters that I did not appreciate, it was still good to see comedies make a comeback, especially a few of them are some of my favorite movies of the year. So that was one of the big highlights for me. But overall, 2023 was just a great year for film, whether it's theaters, whether it's streaming. Hell, there were some streaming movies that I wish I got to see in theaters, and you guys will hear about one of those in this episode. But yeah, overall, 2023, great year for movies. I really hope 2024 can, keep the streak going. And from a lot of the announced movies so far, it sounds like 2024 is going to keep up that streak of really good films. So, yeah. Enough talking. Like I said, man, I got 50 films to talk about. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to just quickly go through my thoughts. First, I got to explain my ranking. So the way Letterboxd is that they use out of 5 system. They don't have like an out of 10. They use it like an out of 5 star system. And I'm pretty different from how I be doing my opinions on stuff. Like, and this isn't even just for movies, but even when people ask me for my opinions on a lot of other things, I feel like my rankings are very different than other people. Because one thing I notice is a lot of people, when they consider something not good or bad, they give it like at least 5 stars, which that's not me. 5 stars mean okay. Or, okay, let me explain this in Letterboxd terms. So since it's out of 5, here's how I do it. 0.5 to 1.5 is pretty much me saying like the movie is horrible with little to nothing that I enjoyed. Like, I would most likely never watch this again if I had the choice. A 2 to 2.5 stars is, it has some aspects that I can appreciate, but I still wouldn't consider the movie like okay, and I still probably wouldn't go out my way to watch it. A 3 to 3.5 is more mixed, but I'm leaning on either liking it or not liking it. And you guys will see what I mean when I say like it's mixed, but I'm either leaning on a good or bad standpoint. But enjoyable enough, but I won't rush to watch it again. Four are solid movies. I would definitely watch again, and I had a great time with them. And then you have 4.5 to 5 stars, where I say best films of the year. I can see these films standing the test of time. Some probably will go on to become classics, but overall, they're nearly perfect films, or either they are perfect films, in my opinion. So that's just pretty much how I do my thing. You know, like I said, a lot of people, a 3.5 would mean that a movie is bad. But for me, a 3.5 or 3 would just mean like, hey, you know, it was okay. It could be either or in the okay and like, okay, it was okay, but I won't see it again. Or it could be okay to where like, okay, I rock with it, but maybe I'll take some time before I see it again. So I got to explain my thought process because my rankings are very different than other people, but that's it. Now, like I said, I got 50 films I got to talk about. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably just gonna I'm gonna start from 50 and work my way up to 1, and as I work my way up to 1, I'll probably have like more longer explanations for why I like those movies. But for the movies that's on the lower end of the ranking, I'll just give quick thoughts so that I don't have to be like sitting here for hours, you know, talking about these films. All right, so okay, before I really start, I just got to say a few more things. One, so that I don't have to keep saying what I gave it out of 5. If you guys look on the screen, I will have stars to show what I specifically gave it out of 5. Then also, I'll be reading my Letterboxd reviews, and if I have anything more to say about it, then you know, I'm gonna add my little details, but I'm pretty much gonna read from my reviews. I'll add on to more details, and then also on the screen I'm gonna put when I watched the movie so that you guys will know like when I put out my initial thoughts. And then there is some reviews where I updated my thoughts on it, so I'll also put those updated dates on the side. But all right, man, enough talking, let's get into it. At number 50 we have The Outlaws. And my review goes as, this movie is horrible, and it's films like this that cause people to disrespect comedy films. Please do not watch this. And yeah, I still feel that to this day. This was still a horrible movie from Netflix. And for something marketed as a comedy, did not make me laugh once, didn't even make me chuckle, didn't even make me smile. I kept the straightest face I think I've ever kept for a comedy movie in my life. So yeah, this movie really was not good. And I didn't put this in my Letterboxd review, but one of my big gripes is that it takes the last 30 to 40 minutes for the main plot of the movie to even come in. If you guys seen the movie, then you know what I'm talking about. But there is no reason why this movie, from what I remember, is like 140 minutes, or I said 140, an hour and 40 minutes. And it wasn't until like the last 30 to 40 that the actual plot of the movie started. This movie was complete utter dog shit. And it's Netflix, so I know they're gonna make bad movies like this. But in the future, Adam Sandler, please do not ever produce another movie like this again. Okay, at number 49, we have Fear. One of the worst movies I've seen this year. Sad because this is a cast full of actors that I actually like. Sigh, heavily wasted potential. I still feel that way to this day. At number 48, I have The Influencer. This is a Tubi movie, but you know, I forget how I found it though, but I found it and I was like, oh, it came out in 2023, so let me give it a try. And my review goes as, not as bad as I thought it'd be, but still not that good. From what I saw, this is the director's second film, so there's still a lot of growth to be done, but this movie does show some potential of possible successful career if improvements are made. So yeah. At number 47, we have You People. And I said, had a lot of potential, but failed in a couple of ways. But I still enjoyed the movie. Has a lot of actors Oh wait, I'm completely reading this wrong. Had a lot of potential, but failed in a couple of ways. But I still enjoyed the film. Has a lot of talented actors and a few good laughs. Doesn't do anything new, and you can tell it's from a first-time film director. But if you don't set your expectations too high, you should have a decent time with the movie. Then I updated my review. Now, no, that what I just read you was my first initial thoughts when I first watched the movie. My update on February 24th, yeah, I said I took away my like from this film because on Letterboxd there's a liking system, like you can press if you like the film or not. I took away my like because this film has not grown any better to me. If anything, it got worse. So many greats wasted on this quote unquote film. I won't say it's horrible, but definitely a waste of talent, or waste for talented. It's a waste for the talent behind it and for audiences. Hence why I got the review that it got now. At number 46, we have Vacation Friends. For someone that liked the first movie, this is a big disappointment. Just end the series here, please. So yeah, that's how I feel, and that's how I've been feeling, which is crazy because, like I said in the review, I liked the first Vacation Friends, but the sequel was very disappointing. All right, at number 45, we have White Men Can't Jump. I'm trying to hurry up and get through these. I'll do more explanations as we get closer to number one. Like when I get to my top 10, I'll probably do like more in depth like talks about these movies, but trying to get through 50 films here. Okay. Number 45, we have White Men Can't Jump, the 2023 remake. I never seen the original, so no comparisons here, but this movie is just an okay, harmless comedy. Wouldn't say I liked it, but it wasn't terrible. Really could have been better. So yeah, number 44, we have Leo. When people say don't be too harsh, it's just for kids, this movie is what they're talking about. Watched it with my 6-year-old nephew and he loved it. I, on the other hand, chuckled a few times, but most likely won't ever watch this again. Unnecessary musical numbers, and Adam Sandler was using an annoying voice throughout. But like I said, it made me chuckle a few times, and it did have a good message, so I'll give it some points for that. Okay. Number 43, we have Joyride. I wasn't really looking forward to this movie, but I'm always going to check out a comedy with a diverse cast. Ultimately, this movie was just decent. Wouldn't go out my way to watch it again, but I wouldn't be disappointed if it was on TV. Now we're going to the 3 out of 5s, and there is some 3 out of 5s where I liked them. Like I would watch them again, but then there's some 3 out of 5s where it's on the lower end and I really wouldn't watch them again. This is where the lower end is. So at number 42, we have Call Her King. This is a tough movie to rate because I believe that if Paramount put more care and budget into this movie, then it could have been great. But because it was just made half-assed and thrown on BT Plus, it didn't reach its full potential. Only bright spot, to be honest, is Naturi Naughton and Jason Mitchell's acting. Besides that, this is just a mediocre movie. And please don't make the sequel, because at the end of this movie, they teased the sequel, and I really hope they don't do that, because this movie was not good enough for one. At number 41, we have Champions. And I said, saw this through Regal's Mystery Movie Monday. And while I was disappointed it wasn't Creed 3, I wound up enjoying this. I don't think I'd go out my way to watch this again, but it's a decent feel-good sports comedy. Yeah, I still feel that same way. Now here's where I start to like the movie. So everything at this point is movies that I liked. And while on the screen you may still see 3 out of 5, just know that these are still movies that I ultimately did wind up more enjoying. So like I said, we're at number 40. 40 and above, I actually liked all these movies. So yeah. Number 40, we have Freelance. I saw this through Regal's Mystery Movie Monday. Kind of disappointed we didn't get a horror movie, but this wasn't too bad. Not too great either. It was just decent. I'd watch it again if it was on TV, but wouldn't go out my way to watch it again, if you know what I mean. Number 39, we have Five Nights at Freddy's. Never played the game and don't know the lore at all, so a lot might have went over my head. Overall, a decent movie. Beginning was kind of boring, but picks up later. I don't know. Just okay. Not bad, but not great either. Number 38, we have The Slumber Party. and I said, I love The Hangover, so I had to watch this. For a kid-friendly imagining, it's not bad. Had a few laughs, but you're not missing anything if you don't see this. And yeah, that's genuinely how I feel. I love The Hangover, but I think the biggest problem I had with this movie, and of course because this is on Disney, like I should expect this, but it just doesn't have the big stakes that The Hangover does. Because when you constantly hear for like an hour and a half these girls saying like, "Oh, we're gonna be in trouble. We're gonna be grounded for this," and you're watching the movie and you're just like, it's not as bad as y'all think it is. Like y'all are gonna be just fine. That was my biggest problem with the movie. But like I said, it was on Disney, so I have to remember that obviously it's not going to be anywhere close to what The Hangover, what they were dealing with that. If you do want to see more of a kid-friendlier version of The Hangover where the stakes are actually a little bit higher, watch Fun Size. All right, so number 37, we have the House Party remake, or not really remake. It's more like a reboot, but it's still a sequel. Like they still acknowledge somewhat the old movies, but either way, House Party 2023. Of course, not as good as the older House Party films, and this one definitely made a very questionable choice near the end of the movie. And if you guys seen the movie, then you know what it was. But it's a harmless comedy. This is just a good movie for if you have your girl over or if you have friends over and y'all ain't really trying to pay attention all the way. So yeah, I still feel the same. This was actually the first 2023 movie, or actually no, this was like the third 2023 movie that I've seen in theaters. Me and my friend actually went to go see House Party the same night that we saw Skinamarink, and I would have put Skinamarink on this list if it wasn't technically a 2022 movie. I fucking hated that movie, but that's technically a 2022 movie, and I'm only counting movies that came out in 2023. So yeah, House Party, yeah, 3 out of 5. 36, we have Strays, and this one is 3.5. Of course, if you guys are looking at the screen, then you know that. I don't know why I just said that, but all right. Once the novelty of dogs doing and acting inappropriately wears off, this movie is kind of nothing special at all. It was okay and had a couple of laughs, but isn't something I would willingly see myself watching again. So yeah, I still feel that way. And truth be told, I don't really like Will Ferrell, so that might be a big reason why I can't see myself watching it again. But at number 35, we have Beau is Afraid. And my review is so short, so I'm going to say more outside of my review, but my review says Ari Aster needs some damn help, but it was still entertaining. So yeah, that was my review. To give more thought onto it, I would say that I definitely grown to like the film more. I still can't give it a 4 stars or even a 5 stars, but I have grown to like the film more. I think my biggest gripe with the movie, now that I've sat with it like way longer, is the fact that it's just way too long. I have seen it multiple times already, so I sat through the 3 hours already, and while it doesn't necessarily feel like 3 hours, I still feel like it's too long. Like if the movie was like 2 hours or maybe an hour and 40, we really could have gotten a better movie. I feel like a lot more people would like it if it was shorter. But Ari Aster wanted to make this movie. This was his dream movie. And now that he finally made his dream movie, please go back to making more normal movies like Midsummer. And the fact that I'm even saying Midsummer is normal is still freaking weird to me. But yeah, Beau is Afraid is still a good movie. And I still feel like the internet kind of judges it a little too harshly, but overall, still a good movie. At number 34, we have Barbie. I'm definitely not the target audience for this movie, but it had a lot to admire. The filmmaking, the cast, and the message of the movie was all great. Can't really rate it any higher because, like I said, I'm not really who the movie is made for. So a few times I got out of it, but overall, this was still a good movie to me. Barbie is probably the most pleasantly surprising movie of the year because I was not expecting to like it. My friends really wanted to go see it. I didn't see it in theaters. I've seen it another way, and I'm not going to say how I seen it, but basically I seen it. And while I do have a little bit of gripes, especially the ending, more so that nothing in the movie indicated to me that Barbie wanted to be a human. So unless there was something I was missing, like why did she decide to be a human at the end? I didn't feel like that was her ultimate goal or something that she really wanted. So when that was the ending of the movie, I was like, oh, okay, I guess. But yeah, Barbie, pleasantly surprising movie, but it's not really one that I would rush to see. Like, if I was with a girl and she wanted to watch it, sure, let's watch it then. Number 33, we have The Haunted Mansion. Don't have much to say. Enjoyable film, good performances, nothing too special, but still decent. Haunted Mansion 2023, in my opinion, is better than the older Haunted Mansion movie, which that came out when I was a kid. So seeing them remake a Haunted Mansion movie already is kind of crazy. But yeah, I like this one. At number 32, we have the Super Mario Brothers movie. So first things first, I'm not a Mario or Nintendo fan, so I didn't get every single reference that was in the movie. But with that being said, I had a good time with the movie. I was doubting Illumination because I fucking hate Illumination. But this was a fun film, and I can't wait to see what they do in the future with Mario. Definitely recommended to fans of the games. So yeah, the Super Mario Brothers movie. Now, I'm not completely, in the blue, it's not that I don't know anything about Mario. Like, I have played some Mario games. I did have a Wii growing up. So yeah, like there was certain things that I picked up, but to where I'm watching other reviews and analysis videos and people are saying like, oh, there's references like every frame of the film. Of course I didn't get most of those references, but I got a good amount, and overall the Super Mario Brothers movie was still fun to me, and it's one that I actually don't mind watching again, to be honest. So at number 31, we have Shooting Stars, the LeBron James biopic. And I said, a good basketball biopic about LeBron and his friends. Aside from some weird editing decisions and feeling like there was more to be told of his friends' lives, the movie was good overall. Yeah, that was pretty much my biggest gripe with the movie. Like, the marketing all is about him and his friends. But when you watch the actual movie, and I mean, I should expect this because it is LeBron, the movie is mostly just about him. Only one of his other friends really get almost as much screen time as him, and only one of his other friends are really that much focused on. The others are there, and they do somewhat get a focus. Let me put it like this. Imagine Straight Outta Compton, and you know how that movie was really just about Ice Cube, Dr. Dre, and Eazy-E, and then you had MC Ren and I forget the other guy's name. But the other NWA member, like, though they had somewhat focus, but they really weren't the focus. That's what this movie was like. LeBron and one of his other friends were like the main focuses of the film, and the other guys were like, they got their little moments to shine, but they weren't really that focused on. So yeah, that's what my biggest gripe with this movie was. Definitely should have just called it like the LeBron movie or the LeBron story or something. Number 30, we have No One Will Save You. And this is one where I didn't do an update, but over time I did start to get the film, so yeah. But not gonna lie, kind of confused and not too big of a fan of the Lil dialogue, but Caitlin Dever's performance and the top-notch filmmaking definitely makes up for that. Like I said, I can't believe this is a streaming movie. That's how good the filmmaking techniques are here. So yeah, my new thoughts is that now I do get the ending, so I'm not confused anymore. But I actually grown to appreciate the fact that there's no dialogue or little to no dialogue in this movie, because I feel like the little to no dialogue actually helps the story, and the little dialogue that we do get actually is important to the story. So yeah, I still wouldn't move this from a 4 out of 5. I still feel like this deserves a 4 out of 5. But yeah, I have definitely grown to appreciate the stuff that I was confused about and stuff like that. So yeah. At number 29, we have Knock at the Cabin, which my cousin was even surprised that this movie came. He forgot that we saw this earlier in the year. And I was like, yeah, this did come out this year. He was convinced this came out last year. Like, that's how long ago this movie feels. And to be honest, I kind of do feel that. Like, now that 2023 is over, are close to being over. I get what he means, how this movie feels so much farther than what it really was. But yeah, Knock at the Cabin slowed down a little bit in the middle, but it was an enjoyable ride throughout. Don't go in with any expectations and you should have a good time. And when I say don't go in with any expectations, what I mean is don't expect a twist. Because it's M. Night Shyamalan, people expect a twist, and a lot of the reviews that said that they were disappointed in the movie, in my opinion, sounded more like they were just disappointed there wasn't a twist. That's what I feel like. At number 28, we have Zoe 102, which a lot of people hated this movie, but I do feel like it's overhated. I said, not gonna lie, I'm kind of biased because I love the original show, but this was a lot better than that horrible trailer made it look. There was some corny moments, missed opportunities, and the full cast didn't return, but for the most part, if you're a fan of the show, this will be an enjoyable, hopefully, finale. I do not want a Zoe 103. I do not want a sequel. I don't want a sequel series. I don't need any more Zoe Brooks in my life. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. But God, please leave it at Zoe 102. This was just fine. As a fan of the show, I am just fine with this being the last piece of Zoe 101 media that we get. The other thing I do want to say before I move on is that this movie is very over freaking hated. A lot of people really hate this movie. They don't like it. And personally, I feel like a lot of the reasons that people really hate it is because of Jamie Lynn Spears as a person and how controversial she is. I really feel like that's the main reason that people be hating on this movie, because this movie is not as bad as people make it out to be. Like, it really is just a decent movie. Even if you guys don't love it, I still feel like it's decent, especially if you're a fan of the show. So if you guys are just blindly hating it because you don't like Jamie Lynn Spears, look, hate Jamie Lynn Spears all you want, but at least give the movie a chance. So yeah. At number 27, we have The Marvels. No, I'm just laughing at what I said at the beginning of this review. First things first, my wifey Iman Vellani did great as usual. My wife really stole the show. But this movie was turn your brain off fun for me. I guess some of the criticisms, but this is a little overhated. Like, this movie is not worth getting that pissed about for real. And I still feel that way. The movie only came out last month, so of course I don't feel that much different. But yeah, Iman Vellani really is the best part of the movie. And I mean, overall, the movie was fun. I don't see why a lot of people hate it. It doesn't, like, while it does, I know some people may want it to set up more with the MCU and like the future of it, but to be honest, this movie was really turn your brain off fun. Sometimes I like MCU movies that don't have to advance the plot of the overall like universe. Sometimes I just like to sit back and have fun with what I'm watching, and that's what this movie was. So yeah. 26. Yeah, 26. We have Cocaine Bear. Please, and I stress this, please know what type of movie you're going into when you see this. This is not no deep story with compelling characters or anything like that. The title is exactly what you're going to get. A bear doing cocaine and going on rampage. With that being said, I enjoyed this film a lot because it was funny and actually had some decently intense moments. Like I said, go into this expecting a silly movie and you will have a great time. When I saw this movie, I was with my brother and my cousin, and I don't think they knew anything about this movie. All they knew was, my cousin came in from Atlanta. We wanted to show her a good time. And my mom was like, oh, you should take her to the movies. And I was like, hey, cuz, you want to see Cocaine Bear? She was like, I don't care. They did not know what they were going into. I knew what I was going into because I was really looking forward to this movie. And yeah, we all actually wound up enjoying it. And yeah, so it was a good film. Really good time. I even caught my dad watching the movie one day when it went to streaming, and he was like hollering, laughing in the living room. So yeah, this movie is just really a good time type of movie. And like I said, you get some intense moments. So if you do want some, edge of your seats moments, you do have that in this movie. Number 25. Oh, this is going to be a controversial one. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I don't understand the mixed opinions I've been seeing, to be honest. I will admit that the beginning was a little slow for me, and MODOK wasn't that good of a villain. To be honest, I don't even think of him as a villain. But to me, the film was a lot of fun, and Kang is easily a highlight, and I see a lot of potential for him in the MCU. That was a review that I wrote when I initially seen it, and I still feel the same way. Though I will give you guys a bone. I will give you guys a bone and say that the way they're handling Kang right now in the MCU is not how I was expecting them to. Man, they really could have done something different with Quantum Media, but overall, I still think it is an enjoyable film, and Kang is genuinely one of the most threatening villains I've ever seen in a superhero movie. So, no matter how you guys feel how the MCU overall is treating him, you guys have to admit that he was great in this movie, and he is really what made the movie better than what it was for me. Like, if he was not the villain in this movie probably would have been like a 3 out of 5, but he really picked it up for me. So yeah, Kang, definitely a show stealer, and yeah, I stand on my opinion that this movie is 25 out of 50. It's right dab in the middle. So hey, if y'all hate that, hey, this is the Hater or Love It podcast. Get used to it. Number 24, we have Insidious, The Red Door. Not the big ending to the franchise I was expecting, because probably it's not going to be the ending anyway. I wish they would end the franchise here. Not that the movie was bad, but we don't need any more Insidious if it's not about the Lambert family. But yeah, I enjoyed the film, had some good scares, and it was a nice conclusion to the original family story. If they are going to keep the Insidious story going on, then I really hope they leave the Lambert family alone, because ultimately I enjoyed their films in the series. The other ones are so-so to me, but as far as the Lambert family like movies, they were always, great stories, great movies to me. So if you are going to keep it going, leave them alone and just go on and do your own thing. Just leave them alone. And number 23, have Leave the World Behind. And I said I had to watch this movie because TikTok kept trying to spoil it for me. So here I am. I'm a big psychological thrillers fan, so this movie was right up my alley. My only complaint about the film, which I guess is a big complaint since I can't give it 5 stars, is how long it is. Some parts felt really dragged out and boring, and maybe it's because this is based on a book, but either way, if they trimmed the fat, this would have been a 5 stars for me. And I literally watched this the other day. No, 2 days ago. I watched this movie 2 days ago, and yeah, I still very much feel the same way. It just was a little too long. But besides that, it would have been 5 out. I mean, it would have been 5 out of 5 stars if it just wasn't that long. But yeah. At number 22, we have You Are So Not Invited to My Bat Mitzvah. Adam Sandler, this is a movie that I'm glad that you produced. So, all right. In my review, I said I'm a big Adam Sandler fan, so of course I was going to watch it, and I'm surprised at how good it was. While this isn't the best acting in the world, his daughters do show potential in making a career out of acting. And I feel like this movie really was just Adam trying to launch his daughters' acting careers, because they both star in the movie, but I think it's his youngest daughter that's the star of this movie, and you can tell this movie was made to launch her career. And I mean, with a dad like Adam Sandler, who is a good actor when he wants to do good acting, because a lot of people be doubting Adam Sandler's acting ability, and he is genuinely one of the best actors in the world to me, in my opinion. With a dad like that, you better know how to act. So yeah, really good movie. And if you guys ever seen Angus Thongs and the Perfect Snogging, it was on Nickelodeon, but apparently it was in theaters in the UK. When I was watching this movie, please tell me I'm not the only one that felt like this was just an American version of Angus Thongs and the Perfect Snogging. Please tell me. At number 21, we have Renaissance, a film by Beyonce. I love Beyonce. I think I said it before that I'm a big Beyonce fan, so of course I had to go see this movie, especially since I didn't see her on tour this summer. But my review says probably the best concert film I've ever seen. Even though there isn't much of a story and the movie was way longer than I expected it to be, this was still amazing due to Beyonce's overall direction, and it made me grow a new appreciation for the Renaissance album. Like I said, I'm a big Beyonce fan, so when Renaissance came out, I listened to it instantly, and man, I was somewhat disappointed. I still liked the album, but I was still disappointed because I was like, man, like Beyonce usually has more to say or there's something usually going on. But this album was more just like a feel good dance, like appreciate life type album. And I was like, it's good, but I wanted something else. But this movie definitely made me appreciate the album even more because now, like, the movie kind of take you into like her thought process and why she made the album and everything leading up to the tour and how she was planning for the tour even when recording the album. And even the movie, she was planning on the movie through all of this. So really, this movie made me appreciate not just her work ethic. I mean, I've been appreciating her work ethic, but it made me really grow a new appreciation for the album. And now when I listen to it, I feel like, okay, it is earned, like, for her to finally make a feel good all the way through album, like it is earned. So yeah. Let me move on because I feel like I could talk about Beyonce forever. At number 20, we have After Death. Near death experiences and the afterlife is a topic that I like to watch and listen to. So when I found out about this movie, I had to see it and I'm glad I did. Beautiful documentary that made me feel more than a documentary has ever before. Religious or not, check this out. Definitely put life into a new perspective for me. Yeah, that's a topic that I really love to like listen and talk about with people and stuff like that. So this movie was really an amazing movie for me and I loved hearing like all the people's experiences about it. So yeah, if you guys haven't seen After Death, please check it out. And like I said, whether you're religious or not, I still feel like it's a great movie to watch. At number 19, we have The Blackening. The killer reveal was hella predictable, but it was a funny movie, and it was nice to see an original comedy in theaters again. Yeah, The Blackening was a really funny movie, and it actually gave me like those old 2000s parody movie feels. And I don't mean like the horrible ones like Disaster Movie. I mean like the old scary movies when the Wayans brothers was taking it over. Like the good scary movies. Like that's what The Blackening felt like, but it didn't feel like it was necessarily like using the plot of another movie. It still felt like its own movie while also being a commentary on like other movies. I do have more thoughts and opinions on it that I shared in the podcast episode that I made about the movie. So if you guys want to know more of my thoughts about the movie, go check that out. Let's move on. Number 18, I have Scream 6. I just seen it last night, and I said that in the review. I just seen it last night, so I won't say this definitely, but this is probably my favorite Scream film in the franchise. I love how ruthless Ghostface is this time around, and the kills were more brutal than in other films in my opinion. But the main thing that I loved about the sequel is its deviations from many of the series formulas. I highly recommend this to any Scream or horror fans. I think it'll be hard for you to be disappointed. I can say that Scream 6 isn't my favorite, but it is a very close second behind the original Scream. This year, one of my friends who's like a big ass Scream fan, she really wanted to go see Scream 6. So in order for me to go with her, she wanted me to watch all the Scream movies up to basically 6, and then we went to go see 6 on opening weekend. So I already seen Scream 1 years ago, so I didn't rewatch that one. But I sat through Scream 2 through 4 Scream 2 through 5, and yeah, definitely Scream 6 definitely is my second favorite, very close behind the original. I would say the like I said in the review, the big thing about it is the brutal kills. Like this was a movie where like I think I finally started to see Ghostface as a very threatening horror figure, a horror icon. Because Scream is also somewhat of a comedy and somewhat of a commentary on horror films. So I never really fully seen like Ghostface as a very threatening, like, I know obviously he's killing people, so it is a very threatening figure, but because the movies were more jokey, and not that this one isn't jokey, because there is a lot of jokes in this one I finally felt intimidated really by Ghostface, and that's a feeling that I haven't had since I seen the first movie. Like I can genuinely see Ghostface up there with Michael Myers and all of them now because of this movie and because of the first movie. But somewhere along the way in the other movies, Ghostface just kind of didn't become as serious of a figure to me. But in this movie, it definitely brought back that old feeling from the first movie where it's like, oh shit, Ghostface coming. So yeah. At number 17, we have Missing. And my review says, if I can pull it up, good film. Some parts are very unbelievable, but overall had a lot of fun. Yeah, Missing was, I think, the first Mystery Movie Monday movie that I seen this year. And yeah, it was a very pleasant surprise. I really actually wanted to see the movie, so when I found out that that was the Mystery Monday for that week, I was so hyped. But yeah, Missing was a really good movie. I never saw the original or the first film, which I think it's called Finding or something like that. But yeah, Missing was really good, and to be honest, I might go check that out again soon. So yeah, at number 16, we have Past Lives, and another amazing film by A24 with a unique perspective on the topic of soulmates. Go check this out when you get a chance. And yeah, soulmates is another concept about life that I love to like look up and listen to people talk about and stuff like that. And to be honest, I do believe in soulmates somewhat, but I don't necessarily mean it. I mean, believe it in the same way that a lot of other people believe it. I do believe there can be soulmate friends. I do believe there's soulmates that can break up and you were just soulmates for a certain point in time. Like, that's what I feel about soulmates. And this movie kind of delves into some stuff like that. So, if you guys haven't seen it and if you're very much interested in the topic of soulmates, definitely check out Past Lives, because to be honest, it's probably up there for one of my favorite romance movies of all time, which I don't really like that much romance movies. I feel like there's got to be something special for me to like a romance movie and not be on no corny shit like a lot of them be on. But yeah, Past Lives is definitely an interesting romance movie. At number 15, we have 1001. And my review says, I can see why this movie won so many awards at Sundance. I feel like this was a beautiful film and was one of the best explorations of a black mother and son relationship that we've ever seen in film. I could give this movie hella praises, but the top of my list is Tiana Taylor's acting. Her performance was so good in this film that I hope to see her doing more acting in the future. Sadly, though, I think this movie will go under the radar because I haven't heard much people talk about it, but I can see this being like a cult classic or if you know you know type movie. That was my review, and I still feel the same exact way. Tiana Taylor's acting really was great. And even one day I found my parents watching the movie together, and rewatching the ending with them was like, yeah, this movie really was amazing. And I think a big part of it really is Tiana Taylor. Like, her acting was amazing in this movie. So I really hope to see her do like more mainstream roles, because before this, all I've ever seen her in was low budget or streaming movies. So I hope to see her do more big budget roles. And shoot, when I make it on as a director, I would love to work with her. That's one actress I would love to work with. At number 14, we have They Clone Tyrone. And my review says, what haven't people said about this movie yet for real? The acting, cinematography, story, and message is all on point. Definitely one of the best movies of the year, and I can't believe I actually like a Netflix movie this much, to be honest. So I have a huge gripe with like streaming movies, and I mean like movies that were made for streaming services, not like movies that like were in theaters and then went to streaming, just movies that was made for streaming. A lot of, and if you guys look at my list, you guys will probably notice that a lot of streaming movies are on the lower end of my list. But I don't know what it is. Like streaming movies are really like a lot of times they're really horrible. So when I find ones that really are good, it really is like crazy to me that they're that good to me. So yeah, They Clone Tyrone um really up there for me. It was, I really couldn't believe it was a streaming movie. That was one of those streaming movies that I really wish that I could have seen in theaters. So yeah. At number 13 we have Blue Beetle. And I said, for someone who isn't a DC fan at all, this is easily my favorite DC movie I ever watched. If the DC universe is going to continue in this direction, I would definitely be on board. This was a great movie. And I'm not going to lie, over time I kind of realized that I really like Blue Beetle because it kind of gave me that Spider-Man vibe. But overall, Blue Beetle was a great movie. And like I said, it's one of the few DC movies that I actually love. And I would actually rank Blue Beetle higher than a lot of Marvel movies. Like, Blue Beetle really was an enjoyable movie. And I really hope that they keep this version of the Blue Beetle in this reboot that DC is planning on doing. And you guys may be wondering, Tevin, if you're not a fan of DC movies, why'd you go see Blue Beetle? Well, that was around the time where I think movies were like $1 for like National Cinema Day or something like that. It happened over the summer. And I was like, well, there's no other movie that, I mean, every other movie I wanted to see, I already seen, and Blue Beetle was the only thing left. So I was like, all right, I'll check that out. So yeah. All right. I was saying that I was gonna do like more deeper explanations as I was going on, but to be honest, these reviews that I've been putting out on Letterboxd basically sums up my thoughts a lot. So I don't think I'm gonna have to do too many deep like explanations as we get higher. But now we finally reached the top 12 movies. Yeah. The top 12 movies are all movies that I think I'm going to like continue watching even when this year is over, and they're probably movies that I'm going to consistently go back to. At number 12 we have Thanksgiving. Some cringy parts, even though I think that was intentional, but man, was this movie fun. This killer makes Scream look like nothing. Definitely check this one out. Thanksgiving was another surprise for me because I was expecting to go in and see like a turn off your brain. Well, this really is a turn off your brain slasher movie, but man, it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. The cinematography, Addison Rae surprisingly was not that bad of an actress in this movie. The kids, actually the teen actors, well, they're not really teens, but you know, the teens in this movie actually wasn't as annoying in other movies. Like, I actually felt a little sad when the ones that died, because in a lot of these slasher movies, you know, the teens are really just meant to be killed off. But in this one, I was actually disappointed with the ones that died. I'm like, damn, I actually liked their characters. So yeah, Thanksgiving, really good movie, and I cannot wait for the sequel. They already announced one. Do I really feel like it needed a sequel? No, but am I gonna get my ass in the seat when it comes out? Yup. So yeah, Thanksgiving, really good movie. This next one is a movie that I feel like is going to become a classic, if it's not already considered a classic. I mean, it just came out this year, so of course it's not considered a classic, but in my opinion, I can see this becoming a classic. And at number 11, we have Bottoms. Very short review, but I said I was not prepared for how outlandish this movie was, but I love that. But I love it for that. And this movie is just probably the funniest movie that I've seen this year. Probably the funniest movie. Actually, there is one comedy that I put over this. So this isn't the funniest movie that I've seen this year, but it is easily the second most funniest movie I've seen this year. Bottoms, I really can see becoming like a classic high school movie, and we really haven't had any of those in a while. A lot of people used to say Booksmart would become a classic, but I really don't hear people talk about Booksmart as much anymore. But If Booksmart couldn't do it, Bottoms will definitely do it. And honestly, I loved Bottoms so much that I actually went back to list. I mean, I actually went back to look at Emma Seligman's other works. Emma Seligman is the director of this movie. I went back to go look at her other like movies and short films and stuff like that. So, yeah, this movie really put me on to a new director, and I really love the Bottoms universe right here, and I won't say universe because I don't want to I don't want to put nothing out in the world to where Bottoms gets a sequel or gets a spinoff. I don't want none of that. Bottoms was perfect as it is. I don't want anything more. Bottoms was a really good movie, so yeah. At number 10, we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem. There are a lot of iterations of the Turtles, and I loved the Ninja Turtles since I was really young. Like, you know when kids go through phases of cartoon characters or whatever that they love. I went through a Ninja Turtles phase. Used to have Ninja Turtle sheets. Used to have all the Ninja Turtle toys. Every time there was a game, I would beg my parents for Ninja Turtle games. So I am a big fan through and through. I love the 2000s show. That was the main one I grew up on. But I did watch the old, Ninja Turtle show. But one of my favorite movies with the old Ninja Turtles live action movies, the very first one was a movie that I loved. So when I see a new iteration of the Turtles, I gotta admit, sometimes I can be very nostalgia biased. Like I want them to keep being like the older iterations, but I know like over time they can't keep being like how they used to be. And with this movie, this was actually one of the best new interpretations of the Turtles, in my opinion. Like this, and what I said in my review, because I'm going on and on, but I haven't even read my review. In my review, I said maybe my favorite Ninja Turtles movie since the original '90s film. Really good movie. Definitely check it out if you're a fan of them. And even if you're not a fan of them, like this movie was so good that I still feel like people that aren't really fans of the Ninja Turtles can still watch it and have a good time. Because it's not like you need to watch the other movies to prepare for this. So there's really no good reason for why anybody shouldn't check this out. Like, this really was a good movie, whether you're a fan of the Turtles or not. So, yeah. Ninja Turtles, number 10. And then at number 9, I'm actually surprised this is at number 9. Not that I didn't think the movie was good, but compared to everything else this year, I'm surprised it's up here for me. But then again, I loved these movies when I was younger. At number 9, we have Transformers: Rise of the Beast. My review says a lot better than I expected it to be. I don't have any real complaints other than it's a Transformers movie, so you're not really getting anything complex out of it. You know exactly what you're getting. And yeah, pretty much, actually I do have another gripe that I didn't realize was much of a gripe. They're trying to make a Hasbro universe because they tied in G.I. Joe at the end of this movie, and I was like, please, why are they trying to make a Hasbro universe? And the other thing is, this is technically canon to the 2000s Transformers movies. So now not only do you have to explain why these Transformers apparently separated over time, but now you also have to explain what the hell happened to the G.I. Joe in like the other Transformers movies, when they definitely could have been helped, or they definitely could have, been a part of it. But besides that, this movie was turn your brain off fun, had a lot of good funny moments in there, and had a lot of intense action. And they knocked off my boy Bumblebee, but he came back swinging, so that's all that matters. Yeah. Then at number 8, we have Hayao Miyazaki, one of the greatest directors of all time, one of my favorite directors of all time. Hayao Miyazaki's brand new film, The Boy and the Heron, or as the original Japanese title, How Do You Live? And my review says, another weird yet beautiful film by Hayao Miyazaki. This was supposed to be his last film, but that quickly changed. If this was his last film, though, this would have been the closest thing to a perfect career-ending film. I feel like it will hit deeper if you're a Miyazaki / Ghibli fan, but if not, I'd say that there's a chance that you may not like this movie, as this is definitely a passion project, but also one made for the core fans. And I guess to quickly get into what I mean by that, There's a lot of callbacks to Miyazaki's older works in this movie, and this movie is definitely a clear commentary on how he views his career and how he somewhat views the future. But there's also a big message about letting go and letting people live their lives the way that they want to live. So, if this was to be Miyazaki's last career, or yeah, Hayao Miyazaki's last career. I mean, movie. If this was to be his last film, and truth be told, he said he got more movies left in him, but he's getting old, and you never know when it could happen. You never know. So, for him to say that he still wants to make more movies after this, I really do feel like this would have been a perfect movie to end it on, and you know don't let it happen, because I want Hayao Miyazaki to live forever and keep giving us all these amazing films that he's blessed us with over the years. But if it was to happen before his next movie was supposed to come out, this would still be a perfect send-off, because while this movie is... Hayao Miyazaki makes a lot of great movies, so me saying that this is on the lower end of his filmography still isn't even a bad thing, because hell, it's at the top 8 of one of the year. It's at the top 8 of the year that it came out. So obviously it's still a great film. Even though this is on the lower end of his filmography, this is still a great film, and still a great film to end off on. And to be honest, I think it's very beautiful, especially me being a filmmaker and him being one of my favorite filmmakers of all time. For him to make a movie that somewhat takes a look at how he feels about his career, it's just beautiful to me. So if this was to be his swan song, movie, then I very much say that this guy had a damn near perfect filmography. And he earns his spot as one of the best. Not talking Japanese, not talking American, not talking animated, just overall one of the best filmmakers of all time. He definitely deserves that title. So yeah. At number 7, we have No Hard Feelings. And for my review, I said I'm loving the resurgence we're getting with comedy films. But as far as this film, this was an enjoyable rom-com that has a 2000s feel to it. If you're into that or just want a good laugh, then you'll have a good time with this. Yeah, No Hard Feelings is easily the funniest comedy that I've seen this year. Easily the funniest, and it really did give off that 2000s rom-com, but actually good funny rom-com feel. And let me just say this, I grew up in the 2000s. I was born in 98, but I grew up in the 2000s, so I have a lot of nostalgia for the 2000s. And boy, let me tell you, it feels crazy when some people, nowadays, we're getting to the point where kids are having 2000s days, dress up 2000 days, and movies are starting to play 2000s songs as nostalgic songs, kind of like how people used to treat the 80s or the 90s and 2000s movies. Now that's how people treat the 2000s stuff. So I definitely feel old, but that's a whole nother tangent for another day. This movie definitely gives off the 2000s vibes, and I even told my friend, I was like, yo, you a big fan of 2000s rom-com, so go see this movie. And she wound up enjoying it. So yeah, No Hard Feelings was definitely one of the best rom-coms of the year. And the fact that this movie outsold Pixar, and it's outsold, I think, another movie from another big company. I hope this opens studios' eyes to the fact that people still want to see comedies, especially just like how in the 2000s, how you have star power in your comedies. I feel like Jennifer Lawrence being in this movie is a big reason why it even got made and pushed in theaters. Because if it was anybody else, it probably would have went straight to streaming. But thank God that this movie came out in theaters, and thank God it did really well. And that will show studios that, okay, there's actually reasons to put out comedies in theaters. We're going to actually make profit from it. So, yeah. Hopefully, No Hard Feelings will start that chain reaction of comedies slowly coming back to theaters. At number 6, we have John Wick Chapter 4. And to be honest, I ain't really going to say much. I'm just going to leave my review at this. It's John motherfucking Wick. No full review needed. And that's what I'm going to leave it at. Then at number 5, we have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And I said my favorite Guardians film and up there for my top 10 favorite Marvel films in general. First, this is the only film where I actually like Star-Lord, but the rest of the team is great as usual. Rocket was a big highlight for me, and if you aren't hurt by his scenes, you are not human. I don't like making long reviews, but this is a great film, highly recommended, and one of the best Marvel films since Endgame. I'm not going to say my favorite film since Endgame because No Way Home still came out and Black Panther Wakanda Forever still came out, but boy, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 was a great movie. And I guess it made sense that I loved this movie as much as I did, seeing how Rocket is my favorite member of the Guardians team, and this movie has a big focus on Rocket. So yeah. And then, like I said, Star-Lord, I fucking hate Star-Lord. I don't like his character. But boy, did I enjoy his character in this movie. So yeah, definitely up there for some of the best Marvel, or definitely up there for one of the best Marvel movies since Endgame, and just one of the best Marvel movies in general. All right, at number 4 we have Megan. A great way to start off 2023, especially for a January release. It had a good mixture of horror and comedy elements, while having something to say about people letting technology raise children. Definitely recommended. This was the first movie that I seen in theaters, and it said that I seen it, or at least I left the review for it, January 30th. Yeah, I still remember seeing this movie in theaters like it was yesterday. Yo, I was so pleasantly surprised by Megan. I wanted to see it so bad. So when me and my friends was asking each other like, "Yo, what we gonna do today?" and I said, "Hey, why don't we go see Megan?" Man, that movie, that was a really funny movie. I really enjoyed it, and like I said, it was a good mixture of horror and comedy. And I said it on the podcast before, horror and comedy are my favorite genres. So to see it mix so well, like literally, there were scenes where I was on the edge of my seat, but then there was also scenes where I was dying laughing. Like, Megan is still a good movie to this day. I did recently watch it again, and I still loved it just as much as I saw the original. So I feel like Megan is going to become another classic horror series. That is if Megan 2 is good. Of course, a sequel is going to come out. Look at that ending. But yeah, if Megan 2 is good, there's a good chance that this could become like one of the new big horror franchises. So yeah. Next, at number 3, and this is literally the movie that I watched right before. This is the movie that I literally watched right before filming this episode because like I said, I want to have at least 50 films, and this was the last movie I had to see before it reached 50. And this was actually a movie I've been planning on seeing almost all year, but I put it off until now to watch it, and I'm so disappointed I did. But Rye Lane at number 3. And my review says I was supposed to see this earlier in the year and kept putting it off, but now I watched it and I'm so disappointed in myself for not checking it out sooner. This is such an amazing film all around, in my opinion. And this is definitely up there for one of my favorite romance films of all time. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of romance, but it's just something about this movie that just felt so good. And I don't know what it is about this movie that sets it like apart from a lot of the other romance movies that I've seen. I still won't say this is my favorite romance movie, but man, was this movie amazing. I think what really did it for me, and one thing that I noticed about this movie and my favorite romance movie of all time, I always tell people is top 5, the Chris Rock movie. The thing that gets me about both these movies is that most of the movie takes place in one day, and it's really just about two people getting to know each other while they're both going through their own personal shit. But you basically see them go on a almost all day type of date. And for some reason, my two favorite romance movies are kind of like that. So yeah, Rye Lane, I don't care what nobody say. To me, it's a classic. I don't know how they view it in the UK because this was released theatrically in the UK. I have seen a lot of US audiences actually say great things about the movie, but to me personally, this is already a classic in my opinion, which is why it's one of the 3 movies that actually got a 5 stars this year. And for number 2, we have Creed 3, and this is my review. Kind of late with this one, but Creed 3 is easily my favorite film of the year so far, and my favorites so far of the Creed series. The story and the acting was great as usual with these films, but the true highlight is Michael B. Jordan's direction. I'm pretty sure Ryan Coogler still helped a lot with in that aspect, but Michael's first time directing was but I said for Michael's first time directing, he did an amazing job, and I hope to see him do more in this lane. It's already confirmed recently that he's going to direct Creed 4, so yeah, that's already good. But Creed 3, I know it's very controversial because I've seen a lot of people say that Creed 1 and 2 is better. Creed 3 is easily my favorite of the series. I think a big highlight for me is Jonathan Majors, but not even just that, but even the story between like Creed and Jonathan Majors' character, and then even the other aspects of the film, like damn, who plays his wife again? Let me look this up. Tessa Thompson, and even the storyline with their daughter. Like a lot in this movie made me love this movie as much as I did. And the crazy thing is, I wanted to see the Creed movies when they first came out, but I never actually watched them. But I watched the other two in order to prepare for this one. And Creed 3 was just easily my favorite of the trilogy. And don't get me wrong, I do love Creed 1 too. I do love Creed 1. 2 is more like to be honest, I'm not as big of a fan of 2 as most other people are, because some people say 2 is the best, but nah, 3 is the best in my opinion, easily the best, and I cannot wait to see what happens in the future. Not even just for Michael B. Jordan's direction, but just how they're going about the Creed franchise, because 3 was a really great movie. And then at number 1, we have Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. And my review was, this is damn near perfect. I feel like I can make a whole episode about how amazing Across the Spider-Verse was. This movie was so damn good. And I rewatched it a couple of times when it hit Netflix, and I still love it just as much as just as much as I did when I first watched it. Hell, I even love it even more. This movie is a classic superhero movie to me, and might actually be up there in like my top 5, maybe 3 superhero movies of all time. I mean, it's kind of hard to get over the Tobey Maguire and Avengers Endgame for me, because I love those movies. But man, Across the Spider-Verse is such an amazing film. And I don't care if you're a fan of animation or not. Just overall, this is just an amazing film all around. And when they say that nothing's perfect, in my opinion, Across the Spider-Verse is a perfect movie. I don't care what nobody say. It really is a perfect movie. I wouldn't have changed anything else. I wouldn't have, anything different. I literally love this movie, and I'm not trying to dicky or nothing like that. Like, I love this movie so much. It really is like a Spider-Man fan's dream movie. Like, I was sitting there just like how Super Mario fans probably felt during the Super Mario movie with like all the references and stuff. I got so many references in this movie. I got so much like hype seeing things, and even the implications that this movie sets up, even for the MCU. Like, it was crazy seeing Donald Glover in this movie as the Prowler again. Like, that literally caught me off guard. Seeing Spider-Man PS4 in there. Like, there was so many great moments, and I'm only talking about the callbacks, but even personally, the story of Miles Morales in this movie, and even just the universe of the Spider-Verse trilogy, because I'm pretty sure the next movie is still going to touch on this too, is the fact that Miles is really trying to create his own story. This trilogy is setting up a beautiful story about expectations, how we can live up to them or how we can surpass them. And I love what this movie is doing with Miles Morales. And it's not even just addressing the conversation of expectations, but it's also addressing Miles Morales as a character. The fact that throughout the years, and even now, especially now that Miles has become more popular, there are so many people arguing whether he's really Spider-Man or not. But this movie is such a perfect example of how anybody can necessarily be Spider-Man. Even if you view him as an anomaly, Miles Morales is still Spider-Man. And I think that's the most beautiful thing about this trilogy that is showing us so far. That it doesn't matter who's behind the mask, because Spider-Man is more of a title, a persona that you live up to. Like, it's not necessary. Like, basically, Spider-Man is just the definition of a hero. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter where your background came from. It doesn't matter. A hero is a hero, and that's what Spider-Man is. That's what the position of being a Spider-Man or a Spider-Woman or however you want to say it is. And that's what I loved about this series. Because I'm pretty sure anybody that's ever been a human knows how it feels to live up to expectations. You know, have a lot of things be told to you like, oh, you should be doing this, you should be doing that, and you somewhat want to live up to those people's expectations, but at the same time you do desire to make your own path and do your own thing. And I feel like that's what Miles Morales and the stories of his movies are really showing people in a very beautiful way. And I haven't even touched on the art style yet. This movie has such an amazing art style. It is crazy. It is, yo, like I said, I could do a whole episode about Across the Spider-Verse, but I'm already at like an hour and I'm not trying to go any longer than that, and my voice is starting to hurt now. So yeah, those are my rankings for all the movies this year. Yeah, this was a pretty good year for movies. I think I said it at the beginning of the episode. This was a really good year for movies. I really don't have much complaints. Yeah, and thank God, like, you know, everything with the writer's strike, you know, came to a conclusion and stuff like that, and everybody got a fair deal. It just, when I think about 2023 in film in general, not only did we get great films, but we also found better ways for actors and the people behind these films to get paid. So I'm not even just, when I talk about 2023 in film, I don't even just talk about what we got. I also talk about and think about like what the people that work hard for these movies, you know, are getting themselves. And I'm just glad to see that they're getting what they deserved. So yeah, I feel like I can talk all day about this stuff, and you guys pretty much been hearing me talk all year about, you know, what they deserve and stuff like that. But yeah, if you guys ask me, overall, 2023, great year for films. Probably one of the best year for films that, in my opinion, we had in a while. And yeah, this just was a great year. If you guys haven't seen any of the movies on my list, or at least 40 and above, because those are the ones I actually like. If you guys haven't seen 40 and above, go check those out. If you guys see anything before 40, well, I warned y'all. But yeah, let me know in the comments, what's some of y'all favorite movies of this year? What are movies that you guys are looking forward to next year? And, you know, I pretty much said all I had to say about 2023. Maybe in next week's episode, or whenever I do like the very last episode of the year, maybe I can slightly touch on some movies I'm looking forward to. But overall, yeah, I'm gonna just leave it here. I'm gonna end it here and just say 2023. Thank you for being a great year for film, and I really hope to see this streak keep going, because man, 2023 was a really good year. So yeah, like I said, leave y'all favorite films. If you guys want to tell me your rankings, if you guys want to comment your letterbox. Comment that down below. And with all that being said, Tevin Jameer signing out. Let me get off of here because my voice really fucking hurts right now. All right, catch y'all on the next one.